We're in London, one of the biggest vigils to honor Sarah Everard. Take a look. Look at that pile of flowers, the crowd of people. Since we've been here for the last 4 or 5 hours, there has been a steady stream of people. And over the weekend, thousands of people showed up right here to pay their respects to Sarah. Police moved in to clear them out. Take a look what happened next.
It's the image people are talking about around the world. Police officers in London holding Patsy Stevenson down. She was one of several women cuffed over the weekend at a peaceful vigil following the death of Sarah Everard, a 33-year-old marketing executive found murdered last week, allegedly at the hands of a police officer. Over the weekend, thousands came out defying government COVID restrictions.
I think it's important for all of us to, especially as women, to show unity with Sarah.
Even Kate Middleton showing up without an entourage to pay her respects.
Nothing's being done. It's just not good enough. Sarah was just walking home. She did everything right.
She wasn't out at 4 a.m. roaming kind of sketchy streets. She was walking on a well-lit road in central London.
But that does lead to question, even if she was drunk, even if it was later at night, this wasn't her fault. And it's not our fault, but it's constantly the onus is put on us to protect ourselves.
On March 3rd, CCTV caught Sarah Everard walking home in London around 9:30 p.m. A week later, her body found here outside of London. The suspect, an elite police officer, 48-year-old Wayne Couzens, now charged with murder.
And the reason why the killing of Sarah Everard's murder has shocked us all is because it could have been any one of us. Women have constantly been told how to keep safe, but actually the onus should be on men. It is men who are killing women.
On social media, the post, "Text me when you get home," now going viral. Women all over the world sharing their stories, tweeting out their routines while walking at night, a list that looks all too familiar to so many of us. Globally, an estimated 87,000 women are killed annually. In the UK, on average, a woman is killed by a man every 3 days. And across the country, growing protests and now calls for the London police chief to step down.
I know I can speak for my people when I say this incredible strength of feeling of anger and sadness.
Okay. How much of that did you actually, how much did you know about that?
So I purposely have stayed away from a lot of this just for the show. So you get my fresh.
Awesome.
Thought process. I've only read a little bit into it, so I know that she was killed, that it was a cop, and kind of like the basic things like that. But my first thing is going from the back of the video to the beginning, into the beginning, isn't the police chief in UK a female? So why would you call for her to step down?
Okay, listen. Let me say before this all gets started, like this is a bad situation. If we're in no way trying to make jokes about what happened to her, that's not the point. This is I can't. It's not funny at all.
No.
Everything else about that report, I kind of find hysterical, and
that's what I was laughing at.
And
like your response, to call for the police chief, who is female in the UK, to step down.
Yes, that was my.
That's any of your responses.
That was my first thought too.
I would still think it's dumb if it was a male. Like, what does that police chief have to do with this situation?
Yeah.
Did the police chief tell this cop, "Hey, go out and commit this murder"? Like, because then I would see your point. But what if it was male or female? But especially with it being female, since this is, I'm imagining they would be calling for the police chief to step down because of the gender, but obviously not, because I don't know. It's just confusing. I don't understand that thought process.
Yeah, so from what I can tell, anytime a police officer is alleged to have killed a civilian, whether it's here, any like first world country generally, this is the way that it goes. Everyone's upset. Everyone wonders why nothing is ever being done. A group of people tend to point the finger at another group of people, and then they call for the resignation of the police chief, no matter who it is.
I'm just like,
yeah.
What did the chief of police create or implement a policy that led to this? That would be different too,
right? But we don't know. According to that report, we don't know.
Like, I just don't understand. Calling for the police chief to step down. Okay, why? Like, what for? So, but man, I really want to speak out through that because one of the ladies said, and I understand where she's coming from, where she's like, she didn't say that women are blamed, but women often have to talk to other women and everything, where it should be men talking and realizing what can we do better. And it's like, I don't have any control over what somebody does across the street from me if he decides to kill somebody that's a woman. Obviously, I think violence against like a man killing another man is wrong.
Yes.
A man killing a child, a teenager, a woman is wrong. Why? Why is that? Like, both of them are wrong. Sin is sin. But why is that kind of like more heinous? Well, because biologically, women and children and stuff like that they're weaker, innocent, or children above a certain age, once you become an adult, I guess that's when it stops. But children are considered innocent and everything. They don't know any better, especially the younger they are and everything too. But it's just like, who is going around? What person is going around saying that violence on women is good? That's a good thing.
I've never heard anyone.
I never heard a guy say that
ever,
or even act in that way. And that, because most guys I only know one guy I can think of that hasn't said necessarily violence against women is good, but has acted in that way.
So this story started out as something that we were just gonna talk about for a minute, give a couple thoughts, give a couple opinions about ways that women can affect this. And it's funny because we are talking about it now, so hopefully this is good enough for all activism people out there. Like, we are here, we are talking about it, but you're probably not going to like some of the direction that this goes in, because so let me make this point.
Yeah, go ahead.
They were saying how the onus shouldn't be on women, it should be on men. And really what it is it's like violence against another human being should be on the individual that caused that violence to that person. If it was someone who is not innocent doing that to someone who was, whether that's a man, a woman, a child, whatever the case may be.
Exactly.
This is one of the problems. One of the other problems is that they're putting it on us, like you said. You and I would sit and go, Joseph, violence against women is wrong, and you go, you know what, David, you're right. We shouldn't do that. This incident still would have happened.
Right.
So what good does that do?
And it's like, have conversations with other guys and talk about ways, like, what was it? This is one post I saw earlier. It would be good just for once if my feed was full of men expressing outrage over male violence and harassment and talking to each other about what they need to do, rather than women sharing their traumatic experiences, again, knowing that nothing would change. I'm like, what are you talking about?
That's empty.
You realize that when I was brought, no one know. When I was brought up, not just my dad and my mom, but my stepmother and my stepfather all sat me down and told me, Joseph, you need to be aware at all times there are evil people in this world and they want to hurt you. Same thing with my sisters and stuff like that. And obviously, some of those things as I got older looked different for me versus my sisters, but it was pretty much all across the board the same. And this is the thing that's most infuriating, is the best way for anybody to defend themselves, anyone, male, female, I don't care what race you are, what religion you are, whatever, the best way for anyone to defend themselves is with a weapon.
Yep.
And by this happened in the UK, and they took away the ability of their citizens to own firearms. And I'm not saying that, because I don't know if this cop that killed her was armed with a weapon or not. He had a firearm. And even if he didn't, a situation could occur to where you have a firearm, someone catches you off guard, and you can't get it out. Not likely, but that can happen. But imagine if she was armed, or if most civilians were armed, how much less crime there would be. Armed society is a polite society, especially for women being vulnerable. You have bigger men who can take advantage of you, can harm you, and kill you with what just happened. And a gun is the best way to defend from that, because it incapacitates the target.
This is the point that I'm glad you mentioned that, because it leads into one of the problems I had with a lot of the things that I saw on social media. Excuse me. Okay, let me start here. When you're in a conflict situation like that, adrenaline is rushing, things are going on.
Mm-hmm.
There's this, and I'm going to call it a myth to some degree. There's this myth that goes around with women, and I think it honestly, I think it puts them off guard a lot of the time because they think this is going to work. There's this myth that if you just hit a dude in the nuts when you're in that kind of situation, that you're going to be, it's almost like a get out of jail free card. This is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
If adrenaline is rushing, if you hit that dude in a certain way, he's not going to go down immediately. He's going to get angry, and he's probably going to fight harder.
Yep.
Man, I'm telling you, it's like I saw so many videos on Twitter of people. It was like, oh, if you just know this, if you watch this video and you watch this jujitsu move, or if you put your hands out in front of you to keep guard and da-da-da, it's just like you're not doing anyone any good. This is not practical, right? And I've even seen people who are like, oh, well, I carry a knife with me or whatever. It's like, great. Unless you hit him in the throat or somewhere that's going to put him down almost immediately, it's still not going to have the same effect that you're looking for.
Yep.
And this is one of the things that's
you
like,
have to get them at that. You have to be able to establish thing. And people think that's easy, but it's a lot easier to defend against a knife attack than people realize.
This makes me, dude, I cannot tell you how irritated this stuff makes me. Just like, it's like, oh, it's common sense, just stab him, or oh, it's common sense, just hit him in the nuts, or oh, it's da-da-da. And I'm just like, I thought about like putting together, this was something they used to tell us at one of the places that I trained at, just sort of this, that people just don't understand violence. It's like that,
they don't.
It's like it was like Mike Tyson was the one that said it's like everybody thinks that they can fight until they get punched in the face. Something along those lines. And he's not wrong, because everyone thinks that they have a plan until everyone thinks they have a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yep.
And here's the deal. It's like, I understand that I think this is the case, and I am making an assumption here, but I think most women really don't want to shoot people.
No, you're right. I think they're scared of firearms. Let me phrase it like this. When I have talked to women about this who do not carry firearms, they have said it's because I'm scared of them.
Yeah.
And my whole thing is that I understand that if you are around them more and you're properly trained on them, you have someone who knows what they're doing, trained you on them, you shoot them, you carry them, you get used to them, that fear ends. It's good to have a healthy fear or something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it keeps you safe.
Exactly. But guess what? What's more fearful for me is somebody trying to kill me.
Yeah.
That's more fearful to me than me possessing a firearm. I don't necessarily like the fact of having to possess one. I mean, I do like firearms, don't get me wrong, but I grew up with them. That's why I grew up shooting all kinds of guns. My stepfather trained me on them and everything like that. And so
what if I told you that the Green Party in England has come up with the best solution ever for this?
Oh yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready
Go ahead,
for this?
do it.
Are you ready?
I heard about this right before the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I found this while I was getting the clip. So let me hang on, I gotta pull it up.
And in the week,
almost there. So yeah, this is Parliament and the Green Party. And I don't know anything about British politics for the most part, except for some stuff about Brexit. So whatever. But this is a member of the British Parliament, and she has, I think, the most reasonable answer for dealing with this situation.
And in the week that the woman, Sarah Everard, was abducted and we suppose killed because remains have been found in a woodland in Kent, I would argue that at the next opportunity for any bill that's appropriate, I might actually put in an amendment to create a curfew for men on the streets after 6 p.m., which I feel would make women a lot safer.
Could be a crackhead that got home to the wrong stuff.
Oh, man. That's too good.